This is huge, right? I'm about to do the third multiple choice video in a row. If I don't see lots of views on this, I'm going to kick off. I'm going to kick off massively. Yeah, this is big. This is useful. So let's go. Right. Which from the following is most likely to shift short and aggregate supply curve to the right? Now, again, this is a nice easy one. When the short and aggregate supply curve is going to the right, we know a firm's cost of production must be going down because they're supplying more stuff. So a fall in money wages, that's definitely right, because if wages are lower, that means firms' cost of production goes down, so therefore they're going to want to supply more. So that's right. Let's go through the other ones. A reduction in government spending, that's going to affect AD. A fall in the exchange rate, that's going to affect AD again, so both irrelevant. And then a decrease in the productivity of labour. If that happened, the short and aggregate supply curve would go to the left, so it's the wrong way. So the answer is A. I'm just going to get my answers up to make sure I don't have any shockers. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Question number 2. Right, economic growth is usually measured by annual change. Right, is it going to be the retail price index? No, because you know that's to do with inflation. Real national income? Right, that's definitely right, because that's just another way of saying GDP. It's just another posh way of saying it. Right, annual change in output of manufacturing industry. Well, it's not just manufacture. Economic growth is measured by everything that's being made in the economy and being produced and being sold, so it's not just the manufacturing industry. And finally, annual change in consumer expenditure. No, that's just part of it. Consumer expenditure is part of AD. The quite obvious answer is B. Well, I say it's obvious. I thought it was obvious. Moving on to 3. Which of the following is an example of fiscal policy? Now, again, we absolutely love this question because we can cross off this first one straight away because we know that's monetary policy. We can put big M. Raising the minimum wage, we know that's irrelevant and it's got nothing to do with any sort of policies, so we cross that out. An increase in the budget surplus, we know that's to do with a firm's, because fiscal policy is to do with government spending, taxation, or borrowing. Okay, so an increase in budget surplus means the government must be spending less. So anyway, that's definitely the right answer. D, it can't be because that is monetary policy. Right, going on to question number 4. Right, a current account deficit on the UK balance of payments. Whenever they say this, remember this is a posh way of saying trade balance. Right. Now you might be starting to get a bit of deja vu and thinking, I've seen these sort of questions before. This is a position you want to be in. You want to be at where you think, oh, I've seen this one just about. Because you probably have. The more past paper questions you do, the more likely you're going to see ones you feel like you've already seen before. Okay. A current account deficit means that generally the first thing it says, total value of imports exceeds the total value of exports. Well, that's right, because right, if we're importing more stuff than we're exporting, or don't ever say more stuff because we could be importing marshmallows. It's all about the value of what we're importing. So if we're importing a higher value than we're exporting, for example, if we're importing 10 billion pounds worth of stuff, but we're only exporting 5 billion. We're obviously going to have a deficit on our current account. So that's the right answer. Right, B is there for people who were stupid enough to think this question was about I don't even know what it is. Lost my words. What is it? It is a government budget deficit. So that's just there for those people. C, the value of imports of services, that's just talking about one part of it, so that's pointless. And then the volume. Now they put this here just to try and check whether anyone is going to think about volume. Now remember, when it says in volume, that means, for example, the UK could export loads and loads of pillows, and they might take up loads of volume, but they might not be worth very much. Whereas we might be importing loads of what will be small and valuable. I'm going to say diamonds. So we could be importing loads of diamonds. They might be small, but they're actually quite high value. So it's all about value, not volume. Right, you've already seen this question pretty much in a previous paper. So the long run aggregate supply curve is going to the right. What should they do to make this happen? To make the long run aggregate supply curve go from 1 to 2? How could they do it? Would the exchange rate make any difference? No, that's going to affect things to do with AD, so that's wrong. Interest rates again would affect AD. Right, expenditure on education and training is right, because to make this go like this, it would have to be supply side policies. And supply side policies, the best way to remember them is it could be anything to do with quantity or quality of sell. and the answer obviously is C for that. D, if they increase the level of taxation on a business, that means firms would invest less, so that would make it go the wrong way. So the answer is C. Right, these ones scare me just a little bit. I think the answer is quite easy, but they're just a wee bit scary looking. So it's just checking whether you understand what real GDP means. Now, whenever they say real GDP, it means they've taken into account inflation. That's the key bit. So whenever it says real, they've taken into account inflation. Right, so the GDP growth was 8%, but inflation was 5.5%. So already, the actual GDP growth, real GDP growth, is only 2.5%. But also, the population has grown by 2.5%. So when it says per capita, that means per person. So at the minute, people's GDP has not, real GDP per person has not changed at all. So the answer is going to be B, which is 0. Right, underlying trend rate of growth is a posh way of saying the PPF, the production possibility frontier. It's basically saying if the underlying trend rate of economic goes up, this means AS is shifted to the right. So a fall in exports, irrelevant. Rise in imports, again irrelevant. Increase in taxation, that's going to make firms invest less, so that would make it go the wrong way. And finally D, an increase in investment. This would cause the trend rate of economic growth to go up. Right, it's important to get your head around these sort of ones before you start. So there's been an increase in the government's budget deficit. For there to be in more debt, basically, what must they have done? They must have spent more, or they must have taxed less. So that's the only two things that could be going on here, right? So if they're increasing the government's budget deficit, they're actually, by spending more and taxing less, AD should be going up. Right, is that going to reduce imports? No, if AD is going up, that means people got more money, so they might be importing stuff, so it can't be A. Is it going to reduce unemployment? Yes, because if there was AD going up, there'll be a reduction in cyclical unemployment. Right, if the government are in more debt, is it most likely to reduce interest rates? No, but at the minute what we've got AD going up. When AD goes up, the government might at some point have to, or the Bank of England might at some point have to put up interest rates to stop inflation. So that's the wrong way for that one. And is it likely to reduce inflation? No, it's going to increase inflation. So the answer is B. Right. Okay, I was really smug with this one. I thought I knew what I was talking about, but we'll see. Right, this is one of these ones where I'm going to cross out the ones that definitely don't make sense, right? If there's a fall in the level of labour productivity in the economy, this could mean that basically that means the firm's cost of production has gone up. So I drew this diagram next door of a firm's cost of production going up, like that. So I thought it'd be something to do with that. But, okay, first of all, is it going to have any effect on demand in the economy? No, so that's definitely wrong, because it's to do with supply, definitely. Is it going to cause a rise in trend rate of economic growth? No, it will cause a fall in it, because obviously if we're less productive, there's going to be less chance of economic growth. Will there be a reduction in the rate of inflation? No, there'll definitely be an increase in the rate of inflation. So if we're less productive, less stuff will be being made, so there's going to be a problem with that, obviously. Okay, so the answer is A. And personally, I was going to be talking about short run aggregate supply, but it kind of works for A as well. If there is a there's a fall in labour productivity, this means there'll be a reduction in the amount of stuff the UK can make. So a reduction in its PPF. So the PPF was out here, but now it's going inwards. So I suppose that would work. So the answer is A. Right, after that slightly difficult one, the only reason why the other one was difficult was because I wasn't that convinced by A. But the thing is, B, C, and D were completely wrong. So just cross them off and think, well, it must be A, and that's probably the best way. Anyway, question number 10. So AD has gone to the left. Always do an arrow so you can make sure you don't get it the wrong way. What a waste of a mark that would be if you do it the wrong way. Okay. When AD goes to the left, it's going to be something to do with C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay. If there's an increase in imports, this actually causes AD to go down because imports is a minus from AD. So the answer is A. But let's go through the other ones. An increase in the price level? No, that's not going to cause a shift. C, an increase in the cost of production, that's going to affect the short-run aggregate supply curve. And D, an increase in investment would have made AD go to the right. So the answer is A. Okay, well, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm quietly losing the will to live, but we've only got 5 more to go, so let's push on. These are those moments where you think, you know what I could do? I could go outside, I could have a sandwich, maybe have a drink. No, yeah? Keep on going, do another 5, you'll feel amazing about yourself. Right, question number 11. Right, there's been a rise in interest rates. So when interest rates go up, you know AD is going to be going down. So which one makes sense? Is there going to be an increase in national output? No, it's going to go down because AD's gone down. Is there going to be an increase in investment? No. If interest rates go up, firms are going to be less likely to want to invest because it will cost them more to borrow. So if AD is going down, it's going to cause unemployment. The answer is C, because when AD goes down, there'll be an increase in cyclical unemployment. Right? So a large rise in interest rates obviously will make consumption go down because people will be borrowing less, so therefore they'll be able to consume less. Right, on to question number 12. Right, real incomes. Whenever it says real incomes, this is income taking into account inflation. So, real incomes rise whenever nominal incomes rise. That's not true because, say, incomes could be rising by 2.5%, but if inflation is at the same time rising by 4%, people's people's real income will actually be going down by 1.5%. So it's not that. Right. If the price level rises by more than nominal income, this will actually make real income go down. So that's wrong. Right. Nominal income rises by more than the price level. That's obviously right, which is what's actually happening in the economy right now. People's incomes might be going up by, say, 1.8%, but inflation's only going up by 1.7%. So actually, people's real income is going up by 0.1%. Not me, though, not Mr. Robinson, because they've stopped my income going up by more than 1%. So I'm still losing out, but you don't really care about that. So anyway, D, the rate of inflation slows down. Now, that's just stupid, because the rate of inflation, right, could have been, with this first example, could have been 5%, but now it's only 4%, but it's still more than incomes are rising by, so it can't be that. Right, the next one's really easy because you know your definitions. Right, investment is always spending on capital goods. So the answer is A. Everything else is just wrong. Although I can kind of see why you'd be tempted by some of them. You should know this because you know your definitions. Right, on to question number 14, and we love it because it's something about the multiplier process. Now, before I even look at the answers, I know that multiplier process is any part of AD is going to go up, any part, so they could talk about any part of it. This will cause a bigger increase in national income. So I'm looking for those ones. If it's not there, I'm going to kick off, but I'm sure it will be. Right, aggregate demand upon imports, wrong. National income upon aggregate demand, wrong way around. Saving upon investment, doesn't make any sense. And then D, investment upon national income. This is right because investment is part of AD, which is C plus I plus X. Plus G plus X minus M. So the answer is D. And I'm sure lots of you will have got that by now. Right, we are on the home straight. We have made it. We're on to question number 15, okay? Which of the following is most likely to cause a fall in consumer spending? Right, this should be easy. So an increase in house prices. When there's an increase in house prices, how do people feel? This is from back in the beginning of the course. They feel more wealthy, so they're more likely to spend. So that's the wrong way. A reduction in interest rates, if that happens, people are more likely to spend, so again, that's the wrong way. A rise in real national income, again, if there's a rise in national income, AD is going to be going up, and people are going to be feeling better about the economy, so they'll be spending more, so it's the wrong way. And then finally, a reduction in government spending on welfare benefits. If the government are spending less on welfare benefits, that means people on welfare will have less money, so AD will go down. So the answer is D.